Kehinde Wiley. Kehinde Wiley was born in Los Angeles. He grew up in South Central LA at a time marked by gun violence. His mother kept Kehinde and his twin brother focused on things outside of that environment. He took art classes on the weekends and trips to museums. He studied art at the Art Institute of San Francisco and was later admitted to Yale for a Master of Fine Arts. He spent a lot of time in museums, learning how to draw and paint, just like the classical European paintings. During his visits to museums, he noticed how there were no paintings of people who looked like him. So Kehinde decided to paint black men in everyday contemporary clothes that mirrored the paintings that he saw in museums. His large-scale paintings placed black subjects in the same place of honor as the noblemen, royalty, and aristocrats found in paintings of the European tradition. He shifted his attention later to add portraits of black women as the subject. In 2018, Wiley was the first black artist commissioned to paint a presidential portrait. The background carried special meaning for the former President Obama. The chrysanthemums are a reference to Chicago. The jasmine references Hawaii, while the African blue lilies are a nod to his Kenyan ancestry on his father's side. This portrait now resides in the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. It's time to make our own Kehinde Wiley inspired portrait. So the first thing you're going to need is actually 2 sheets of paper. You also need a pencil, eraser, you'll need markers in different colors, scissors, and a glue stick. All right, if you're all ready, I kind of made some things in advance. On your first piece of paper, you want to cover the entire piece of paper with patterns and designs. Just like Kehinde Wiley, you can think about floral patterns. You can also look at my dress here as inspiration. That would be a good background. I have a couple of examples that my kids did. My daughter did this one. Some flowers in there, some unicorns and other fantastical creatures. It doesn't matter as long as you fill up the entire paper. This is another good example from my son who created this picture, which is filled. The whole piece of paper is covered with designs. So once you have your piece of paper all covered, the entire piece covered with floral designs, you can move on to the second part. That is fill it in. You want to color your entire paper. Use your markers to make sure that most of the space is colored in. And you can use spaces of white however you choose, but you want to make sure that it is bursting and full of color. The next step, with your next piece of paper, you want to draw a person, draw a face. So I've gone ahead, it's kind of like a cooking show here, and I've already drew in a couple of faces. So I think I'm going to use this face first. Now, for your faces, they don't have to be realistic. They can be however you want them to be. But for this, you can use an image of yourself. You can do a self-portrait or a portrait of your friends. It doesn't matter. Both are totally fine and okay. So for this one, I'm going to place my face right here over to the side, and she's kind of got her backgrounds. So it's kind of Kehinde Wiley-ish. So you want to take your picture after you're done drawing it, cut it out using your scissors, and then you want to paste it on like this. Using your glue stick, paste it right on your paper. And voila, you have your own Kehinde Wiley inspired masterpiece. Thanks for joining us. Have fun.